That's loud first thing in the morning. Okay. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Listen, we got the rowdy ones in the back.
You need to do a ding louder.
No, I don't. Good morning, everybody. Good morning to those of us online as well. Special guests or special welcome to our guests. Everybody's on your best behavior. Ron Dick is here, so behave. And also we have Emily Fern is here from us from Feed the Need. I see that Dave is on the call. So Dave Sullivan, you have our invocation this morning?
Okay, the invocation for this morning. Whatever you do today, do it with the conviction, confidence, and courage of a 4-year-old boy wearing a Batman t-shirt.
Excellent. Perfect. And pretend you have a cape on too.
Yeah.
Our land acknowledgement this morning is we'd like to acknowledge that here in Bowmanville, we're on the territory covered by the Williams Treaty and that this land is the traditional territory of the Mississaugas of Scugog Island First Nation. We offer our gratitude to Indigenous peoples for their care of the land and their teaching about this earth. Birthdays and anniversaries? Pauline?
There are absolutely no celebrations this week.
Again.
Again.
That's 2 in a row.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So before we get into our speakers, Steve Kay would like to come up.
Okay. So most people would have seen my email, but I'd like to spread the word anyways. We're through our election period. Last week or the week before, I put a notice that the nomination committee had created a slate of candidates and that the nomination period for additional nominations was open. I received none by the deadline on Sunday. So here's our board for next year. On a 1-year term next year, we have Rachel Boyd will be our president. Our president-elect will be Chris Velasco. Past president will be Amy Barney. And our president nominee for the year after Chris is Doug Sears. Now we're on a 2-year rotation now. This is our 2nd year of the new format. Coming in for two years, Secretary Roy Snow, Director of Community Service Tim Function, Director of International Service Steve Burnett, and Director of Public Image and Branding, Rebecca Grieve. Now we also do have facility, if someone can't fulfill their, or for whatever reason isn't fulfilling their 2-year term, you can come in for 1 year and fill in. We've got Director of Club Administration, Dennis Bellew. Great, Dennis. And then returning for the last year of their 2-year terms, we've got fundraising, Phil Benner, treasurer, Fred DeVries, youth, Chris Christodoulou, and membership, Doug Sears. And you heard Doug's name twice. It's okay. Next year, he'll be a non-voting member of the board, and that's all above board, as they say. And that's your incoming board. Yes. All the best.
So as you know, I've been pushing for quite a while the Council to Feed the Need in Durham in support of the incredible organization Feed the Need in Durham, which we know all about, but I don't think we know all about it because we never heard from Emily Fern before. She's the operations manager at Feed the Need at their warehouse in Oshawa. She's incredible. I had a chance to work with her a few times. She's amazing. She sort of really revamped the whole system and made it far more efficient. But before we start, I just wanted to remind people the concert is this Sunday. It's going to be an amazing show. We have 11 acts ranging from gospel, bluegrass, folk, anything you would want to hear. We've got. It's going to be a great show. We really need people to still buy tickets. If you want to buy tickets and you can't attend, that's fine. We'll find people who want them. And if not, then they still have the revenue, which is great. And I do also want to thank people who've stepped up to be sponsors from our club and from across Durham. Ron Dick is there. Ron's club has been great. Randy Nickerson from their club has been the point guy on the committee, and he's done yeoman service. And thank you, Ron, for all your club has done and all the other clubs in Durham. It's been great to have with 8 clubs who are in on this, who are co-presenting. So we're really pleased about that. So I just want to get back to our speaker today. We're still waiting for one of our members in Bowmanville. I'm not sure if she's going to be online. I know she had a busy morning, but just a refresher, Feed the Need in Durham has at least 65, I guess, and upwards members of, I guess Gail and Ellie know all this, 65 members across the region. Food banks, shelters, school programs, a whole bunch of other things, other food programs. And the other number to remember is that since the pandemic began, the food bank usage in the Durham region is up 30%. And so the need has never been greater. So thank you for all you do, Emily, and take it away.
Thank you very much. And thank you to Joe for this opportunity, but also thank you to everybody that's here today. It's certainly a pleasure to be here to speak to you. I understand that you have a long history of supporting Feed the Need in Durham, and you've also heard from many of the people in our organization over the past years and months. We're privileged enough to have Joe on the ground floor doing some volunteer work for us a lot of the time. So it's great to see him sort of wearing his other hat, but it's also, I'm sure that this is something that many of you have heard about before. You've certainly committed to supporting us with this concert. I know this is at least the second year of your concert. So I'm hoping to bring a little bit of a different angle to a few things, but also leave some time for questions or discussion, or if anybody does have some, wants to ask anything about either how things are going at Feed the Need, what changes we're seeing, what we're expecting in the future as we come out of this pandemic, I think hopefully out of this pandemic. And then also, if there is any questions around food insecurity in the region, I'd be happy to do that. And again, I know that this is a really busy time of year for not only all our agencies and us at Feed the Need in Durham, but I know for all of you in your business and personal lives as well. So just being able to thank you once again for taking the time to support the concert, which is a huge endeavor. I know there's months of planning that go into it. I can hear about it all the time when I walk through the office. So again, we just really appreciate that support and certainly depend on the community partnerships that we have with groups like yours. So I arrived at Feed the Need in July of 2020. So right after the pandemic had sort of started and hit its first peak, I guess you could call it. I've been really privileged. I've come from a healthcare background, actually, but I've done development work and international work. I've done local work, and I continue to be the program director of one of the largest food bank in Whitby. So I'd known of Feed the Need. We'd been a member. We'd had some connections and partnerships for many, many years, and I really jumped at the chance to being able to jump onto this team and join the organization. I know that one of the things that Joe mentioned that I started doing was I was kind of lucky. I got to go in there and make all kinds of changes and tell everybody what to do, whether they liked it or not. But really what my primary task was to look at a system that was working pre-pandemic and working quite well, but how we were going to not only increase and maximize our capacity and our productivity by 30%. And then we were asked another 30% and another 30% on top of that. It seemed every time we ran our numbers, we were having these exponential increases in the demand for food going out of our building and supporting our community, as well as, I'm really grateful to say the donor demand and to take in more food too. So making sure that this was safe and efficient and equitable and really getting out there. I think that we changed a lot of our processes to maximize that capacity. We are well on our way to getting out more than 2.5 million pounds of food again this year, which is a fantastic milestone. We have already served, and we're only in, I think, day 7 of December, but we've already served since April 1st. We've already served well over 1,000 or 1 million meals. What am I talking about? We serve about 150,000 to 200,000 every month, or support the members that serve those. And in terms of visits, I think that one of the things that we're really seeing is that there's probably our network of 65 to 72 agencies needs to be able to serve or feed about 10,000 mouths every month. So that's not necessarily saying there's 10,000 visits coming to our network, but if mom is visiting and there's 4 more family members, 3 kids and a spouse back at home, our members, our food banks, our agencies, our social services are asking us to have enough food to support that entire family of 5. So we're really that kind of support we're tracking is about 10,000 individuals who are requiring some sort of food security support, whether it's through school, a local food bank, a social service agency they're already involved in every month. And that is really an astronomical number. I know personally in the food bank that I run in Whitby, our numbers increase every month, and we think that we've hit a new record, or we've hit our new peak, and it continues to increase. And I'm so proud that Feed the Need has been able to keep up with that demand. We saw a lot of sort of settling or redeployment during the pandemic. Some programs had to close or partially close and have restrictions. Other programs took up some of the slack, and it's been really interesting to see how our community as a network has shifted. And one of the things that I've been really excited about doing and building is really strengthening that network, that idea of a network, and Feed the Need being the hub. So while I think that I was visiting actually where the church where you're meeting, I think that they run the Brunchkins program, and I was visiting again with a couple of colleagues a few months ago to sort of see how Feed the Need could start to support them in the coming new year. But also there's a lot of programs where we're trying to sort of support and strengthen the foundation of the existing programs, so that they can continue, that they can actually make connections and work with each other too. We've had some real success, with the Brain Injury Association of Durham, the Hispanic Alliance, Infant Development Clinic, a lot of other programs that have really been able to come and support each other and grow with each other. And that's one of the ways that I think our network has really grown and strengthened, and it's been a really nice thing to see. So I was just gonna, sorry, I got lost. The other big thing that we've done, so there is a lot of sort of operational changes on Feed the Need side to get this food out, to get it out in a way that keeps it fresh, that keeps it safe, that gets it where it needs to go quickly, and makes room for the food coming in behind it, with a much smaller network of volunteers on our side as well as on the agency side. But the other thing that we really worked to do was to really decrease the barriers that to accessibility that might exist in our community for individuals who are facing food insecurity. And this is a real passion of mine. People have probably heard me speak about it quite a bit. I know that I think Christine Boyd is going to be talking later from one of your agency partners, and we speak about it quite a bit. But I really think that it's important to realize that there are organizational barriers, systemic barriers, confidentiality barriers, sometimes geographic barriers. And we really want to make sure that the people who need service, who need support, are able to get it without feeling unsafe, without feeling undue stress. I've certainly talked to moms that have traveled well over 2.5 hours on the bus with young children to get to where the food program is. And that's another 2.5 hours home with a really heavy load. and being able to sort of decrease some of those barriers or to improve the accessibility is one of the key goals that I know Feed the Need has, as well as our member agencies, but certainly for me personally. We've made some changes to our systems in terms of record keeping and data collection, even in terms of the large database we use on a provincial level. It's soon going to be adopted in a federal level through Food Banks Canada and Feed Ontario, just to make sure that people are feeling that there's the barriers that may be associated with stigma of either using a food service or being identified as a certain population are really minimized or completely eradicated by increasing confidentiality, increasing anonymity if needed, and certainly strengthening the ability of our community members. We want to be a community, Durham wants to be a community that not only knows how to support its members, but that the members want the support and can get the support when they need it. And I think that that's really important. And again, I just want to say thank you for this time. I'm going to stop talking now. I know that it's been a fair bit, but if anybody had any questions or wanted to discuss any points further, I'm really excited to be here and have some time with you this morning.
Well, there's always questions, Emily.
Oh, that's good. Sometimes there's not. I do a lot of these, I'm telling you.
Oh, well, not with the Bowmanville Club.
All right. Well, this is good. This is awesome.
Joe, you might as well start us off.
Christine, thanks for all the work you do.
Emily.
Emily, I'm sorry, Christine. I'm trying to reach Christine.
Yeah, I know. That's okay. I wear multiple hats. Multiple hats.
I know.
No problem. I can be called multiple things.
I forgot my Feed the Need hat. You run a food bank in Whitby, and one of the things about Feed the Need that I find so impressive and making me want to get on board is the scope that you have. So if we support Feed the Need, we're also supporting your food bank that you run in Whitby. What can you tell us about that food bank, about who you serve, how big it is, how it's changed the last few years?
That's a fantastic question. I love talking about the program at St. Andrews Whitby. So you may have to, give me the sign or mute me to shut up eventually. But so St. Andrews Whitby's program has been around for almost 15 years now. It was a program that a small group of us developed and built from the ground up, but that also now is actually, last month we were the largest food bank in the entire area, more so than any. We served more people than any of the Salvation Armies or Simcoe Settlement Hall. We just squeaked them out by a tiny bit. There's usually about 4 or 5 of the largest members in the network, including the St. Andrews Whitby Food Bank, Community Food Bank, that sort of just rotate from being like top 2 to top 3, 4 every month. One of the things that was essential to me at St. Andrews was really 2 things: that we don't just recreate the wheel and have a lot of little people and a lot of little groups in the region working and doing great work, but all doing the same thing. Let's combine our resources, because I think we all know, as a Rotary Club, you are stronger together than you can ever be working on your own. So one of the key features for the St. Andrews Food Bank was that we are housed out of the St. Andrews Church. It's a great location in terms of where the need, much of the need in the community is, but it's also a great location because there's an incredible amount of space and storage. But we are equally supported by at least 3 or 4 partner churches. So there are 4 churches that come together and have equal responsibility for running the food bank, volunteering at the food bank, making the decisions, managing the budget, all those kinds of things. And we are looking for even more partners. We'd like to sort of work at increasing our partnerships and our community partnerships as a way of growing or increasing our reach, rather than, like I said, having a whole bunch of churches very close to each other with the same kind of program. So one of the things that's awesome, we have St. Mark's United Church, we have Whitby Free Methodist Church that are our main partners. We also partner with the Hispanic Alliance. We partner with the housing team at Cornerstone Community Services, and we also partner with the Healthy Infant Development team at the region. So all of these are not just people who are staff that might come to the food bank on behalf of their clients. These are all people who have a stake in how it's run and who it's serving. So that's one thing. I think that we're finding that we did see a real significant increase in need over COVID, for sure we did. We also saw the face of the people coming to us changing a little bit. So, and it really depended on when in the pandemic. There are people who are sort of really stuck in that cycle of food insecurity and poverty, really, or low, in terms of low income. We all know that housing, is an enormous cost right now. Many of the people on a fixed income or on benefits of some sort, I mean, their housing is between 80 to 95 to, I mean, I often sit down with people and their housing is like 104% of their monthly income. Those people are going to be long-term users of our food bank. They need something else more than just a food hamper every week to sort of make some lasting changes in their situation. I think that food is often the tool that we use to sort of build that initial relationship or get that relationship started, but then it's being able to partner with those other agencies and have services. We have Carious community health services that come in twice a month. We have housing and mental health services. I help people with their income taxes. I help people with access transit applications. Those are the things that are really going to make more of a significant difference, and we're going to see people move past being primary users of our program into a different situation within our community. We run an ESL program and a newcomer settlement program right in the food bank, because I think that's another huge group of people that we're seeing. I know that ethnically, the types of food that we need and that we're asked for have really shifted, and we're trying to be really responsive to that. And then I think that the other thing that we've seen is that we've seen new people that have never had to use a food bank before. St. Andrews through the month of November runs the winter clothing exchange program. It used to be run through the Board of Education, but due to COVID, the last 2 years, they haven't been able to run it. And I can't tell you how many times people came and said, normally I can donate to something like this, but just this year. And there should be no shame in that. You shouldn't have to explain yourself when you come. I think that, making people feel respected, making people feel that they're still a neighbor, and having that really low barrier access to a program is so important. We do that at St. Andrews. We'll accept anybody from anywhere in the region, doesn't matter. There's no means test. Showing up is really passing the means test. And I think that we've had really good success that way as well. You don't have to prove to us that you're struggling. If you're here, we want to support you. And I've certainly seen an enormous increase, though. I certainly don't do it alone. There's a big team behind me, and like there are with the other agencies that feed the need supports. And I know that's something that's invaluable. So the commitment of our volunteers, our unpaid staff, and our staff that are working part-time at some of these programs.
Any other questions? Oh, Pauline.
Hi, Emily. Thank you for the great work that you're doing. I live in the Wilmot Creek community, and our local food bank is Newcastle East.
Yep.
This isn't part of a partnership with Feed the Need. How would they benefit by becoming a partner, and why would they opt out?
I don't know if they opted out. I've been working really closely with the staff at Feed the Need, and Ben and Robin. We visited a lot of new partners and brought on new members. We're putting together some training for new members. Many programs at one time or another didn't need the formality of being a member agency, weren't really big enough. They could have also just been really well supported on their own, but then things may have changed. So we do certainly see new programs that request membership or information about membership, but I also see programs that have been going for a long time and all of a sudden, now they're rethinking it or they're reconsidering it, and Feed the Need has changed. What we can offer them has changed as well. So I know from speaking of experience, so St. Andrews Whitby was certainly functioned for about 5 to 7 years. I can't remember, it was so long ago now, how long we functioned with as not becoming a member of Feed the Need. And when we did, we really noticed a turning point in our processes and in our program. Feed the Need really provided us with a stable and consistent foundation. We don't get all our food from Feed the Need. Most member agencies, we ask them that that's usually about 40 to 50%, and that they're looking after the other 50 to 60%. Now, in a lot of the smaller agencies, it's much closer to sort of an 80-20 ratio where Feed the Need's providing 80% of the food, but you do need to have other sources, other community partnerships. Sometimes it's food drives or a connection with a local grocery store or bakery, or even just the neighbors that are around the food bank. But we found that rather than trying to scramble and keep our head above water as the need was either increasing or as our program was growing and developing, all of a sudden, a lot more of our energy could go into other areas. So like I was talking about, we went into growing our partnerships within the community. We went into other services that we were able to provide. It doesn't mean that we are a food bank. Food's our primary goal, but really trying to build a relationship with people and have that time and that ability, because I'm not out there just trying to get another 20 loaves of bread or 6 cans of spaghetti sauce by the end of the day or by the first thing tomorrow morning. I was able to really put a lot more energy, and I see a lot of our programs being able to put a lot more energy into planning and sustainability and capacity and things like that. That's sort of the 10,000 foot view. I think the smaller view of what some of the benefits really are to Feed the Need is being part of a network. So there's often times where, I don't need to recreate the wheel in terms of a, volunteer training or a COVID policy or something like that. There's a lot of resources our networks share. They also support each other. We often have a surplus of something at one of the networks. They can either easily access all the other programs in the network and connect with them if they want to share, or pass it back through to Feed the Need and we can get it out to people. So you're getting a lot more. And I think the biggest thing that network members are seeing that a traditional food bank on itself can't do is the ability to provide fresh and frozen product. So Feed the Need, we're really trying to have the majority of what goes out our doors be either fresh or frozen or a perishable item. People, that's what's expensive at the grocery stores. We know that it's milk and eggs and, a big pack of salad in a bag or apples or, refrigerated orange juice or chicken, or we know that that's where things are really increasing. We also know that that's what people want to eat. That's a healthier diet for people as well. We have the connections and the ability with our refrigerated trucks to go to not just a storefront, but to go to the huge distribution centers. So the Sobeys and the Loblaws of the area, the factories that are Maple Leaf and Port Perry, things like that, and pick up on such a large scale that it would overwhelm or be impractical for an individual food bank, but we can manage it and then break it down and process it through so that it is at a scale that's manageable for a smaller food bank. A lot of what I've done during the pandemic is help our members get more refrigeration and cold storage because they're recognizing the need of and desire for these types of items, as well as knowing that they're available on a consistent and reliable basis from us. I also think that the big thing that being a member of Feed the Need and its network is that you also have some provincial power behind you. So Feed the Need is a member of Food Banks Canada, or Feed Ontario. Feed Ontario is a member of Food Banks Canada. We get a ton of food, and we get to participate in government programs, whether or not it's funding types of programs or our monthly, Egg Farmers of Ontario connections or Dairy Farmers of Ontario connections. So we're getting, based on our size of our network and the size of our membership, we're getting eggs and milk every single week that's allotted to us through the province, either federally or provincially, that we can then share with the network too. And agencies that aren't part of our network wouldn't have access to this kind of stuff, I guess.
Wayne?
Yes, Emily, do you have any idea what percentage of food donations come from individuals? And what percentage would come from companies like Maple Leaf or Loblaws or whatever?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I don't have those numbers at the tip of my fingers, but I can make some hopefully fairly accurate guesses. We really have, I don't know if I could say 3 or 4 streams. So we have the big industry partners that bring food in, and that's the Maple Leafs, the Procter and Gamble's of the world, the Campbell Soups of the world, General Mills, Loblaws for sure. We do have some. Then sort of the next step down from that would be some of the business partnerships. So there's businesses that support us. There are frontline grocery stores or stores that support us. And then we have sort of leaving from that, then we have the public. And even our public donations, our community donations are broken into 2 streams. So there are people who will just want to donate. They might come in off the street, they might do it on a regular basis. Rather than putting that bag of groceries or that bag of food, at the bin you see in the front of the grocery stores, they're every so often, a couple times a month, they're coming in to feed the need. And then we have the more organized donations. So that's like yesterday I was at the warehouse late welcoming a hockey team of like peewee boys that had a lot of energy, let me tell you, at 5:30 in the afternoon. But that done, we play for breakfast, big food drive. And a lot of it was obviously from them, from their moms and dads that were there with them. But it was also, they'd reached out to their neighbors, they'd reached out to their other connections, and they'd really run a food drive. Where this time of year, we see a ton of that. We see that through schools, businesses, like I'm sure many of you are doing that, whether or not it's the real estate agency next door or the car mechanic, or there's all kinds of different organizations running these food drives. But yeah, I would say, it's hard to tell.
Emily, it's Gail here. I can tell you.
Thank goodness. Can you help me? Gail, save me.
It's about 15% that comes from public. The rest comes from food industry and large partnerships. What the local food drive do is raise awareness. And that's why there's so, not only is the 15% of the food, it's the awareness that they make in the community that there is that need that we can give, and that actually they drive a lot of financial donations.
Absolutely. And that's good, because I was either going to go with 50-50 or 60-40. So I was pretty close. But I totally agree. And I see that in a lot of cases. There was a grandma and grandpa that brought, she's probably 8. And her brother was he's younger. He was probably 6. They were obviously looking after their grandkids for the day. They brought them in. I mean, they probably had 8 pounds of food, which in our world is not even as heavy as the container we're going to put it in. But the fact that we were able to welcome them into the warehouse to weigh the food, to sort of show these kids why and what happens to the food after it goes into a food donation bin. I mean, my kids have grown up, dropping it in the church donation bin or the one at the mall. And, I don't think they often think about where it goes after that. So not only are the food drives, like Gail said, really great for getting, the word out, but it's also really great for getting, and raising awareness within our community, but it's also a really great learning tool, I think.
Oh, Chris?
Emily, you indicated that the need has increased over the last couple of years, and it's understandable. Has the provincial government and the federal government recognized that has happened, and do they support you, and have they increased their support?
That's the Ben question, or maybe the Gail question.
I can answer the question for you. Food banks typically talk about how they're independent and don't receive government funding. During this crisis, the federal government emptied up a lot of money through Food Banks Canada, which was divided equitably to the provinces. The provincial government, not so much, but the municipal government, certainly here in Durham, has stepped up incredibly to help and increase their support.
Thanks.
Is there any, just a second, Joe, is there anybody online that has any questions? I can't see because we're in speaker mode. So if you do, just speak up or raise a hand or. No. Okay, Joe?
Yeah, this is for you, and maybe Roy can answer it too. So many churches are members, so many of your members that Feed the Need are churches, and so many churches are involved in helping to feed people. You know why that is? I mean, maybe you and Roy can both answer that. It gets into a whole bigger question about, feeding people, but why do you think that is?
Well, I think that unfortunately food security or insecurity has been something that on a governmental regional level that the response hasn't been big enough, hasn't been enough. So who's there? And it's not just churches. There's often service groups or service clubs. I think the Rehoboth Church runs the Brunchkin program a bit down the street. There's lots of different ways that, that churches are part of this. We've just welcomed a new member of the Durham Alliance Outreach Center. So that's part of the LGBTQ group. Now they used to be more of a sort of social club in some ways, and they've recognized a huge need that just couldn't be filled somewhere else. I also think that traditionally churches have some long-standing history of certainly service and outreach to the community. I know from wearing my other hat at St. Andrews, I walk a really tight rope to, honor and recognize and certainly respect that it's a lot of churches that came together to build the program and that do keep the program running. But at the same time, we need to be open and accessible and sort of non-denominational enough that, that we can really provide service to those who need it. There is a Muslim woman who came the first time that Canada sort of opened the doors to a large group. It was in December, a large group of Syrian refugees. It was several years ago now. I can't remember how. This family came, and they came to our church, and they really came in absolute desperation. They'd already been in Canada. They'd been struggling for a little bit. They weren't completely new, but they didn't have a lot of language. Certainly they'd never set foot inside a church in their entire lives. And the mom is actually one of our best, most energetic volunteers now. And she'll tell people, she's like, I was so scared to come to a church. I'm a Muslim woman. I don't speak the language. I had no idea what was going to happen. My ideas of church were absolutely horrible, but it was absolute desperation that led them to us. And then she's like, and I was so surprised you were nice. I was so surprised you were nice. And I think that's that as a white woman that's grown up with an education and a lot of privilege, if I was that desperate and needed to walk into a mosque or was in another country where I didn't speak the language and I'm walking into a religious institution I know nothing about, I think the level of fear, but also the level of need is obviously there. But I also feel that, I would feel a bit more comfortable than somebody who is so new. And I think that, in no way do we, in any way minimize her religious beliefs. And she's taught us a lot, and it's been, a fantastic partnership. And there's many, many other people like her out there, but the fact that we can say, yeah, come to the church, that's just the building that we're using, it's just the group of people who have gotten together that feel that this is important and this is needed in the community. I think that there are a lot of religious organizations that support people in our community.
So Christine Boyd isn't with us this morning, but she would have been representing just St. Vincent de Paul Food Bank here in town. But Roy is the major at the Salvation Army. So I don't know if you have any comments, especially in Bowmanville.
Just to give a shout out to the community and how locally Clarington has been a great support to us throughout the pandemic. We have been overwhelmed actually with the generosity from the community. And I too can echo a lot of the things that Emily has said. about the need and the increase. Like we have seen just from 1 month, like last month to this month, we have seen like a 25% increase in the visits to our food bank. The population that we have noticed an increase in and over the pandemic has been people who used to use our food bank in years gone by, but then got some sustainability. But when the pandemic struck, they have now returned to the food bank. So that portion of our population where we have noticed the biggest increase in visits. But again, for us locally, we're probably 90% self-sustainable. Our dependence on Feed the Need is from their ability to corporately get the donations that would swamp us, as Emily has already said, and to augment or supplement the donations back to us, like dairy products and vegetables perhaps, and hygiene products that we don't get a lot of on a local level, but they can give to us and then we can give to our population as well. So that's, I mean, I don't have the stats before me. I knew Joe was doing this and I should have been more prepared for this, but thank you for the opportunity to share.
Yes, Gail.
It's a question, and to Roy, I looked at the provincial stats the other day because I'm doing some radio ads to Feed the Need tomorrow. And one of the biggest areas that have increased across the Ontario is seniors. Are you seeing that? Seniors accessing the food bank, Roy?
That's a question for my staff. I can't answer that right now, but I definitely know we have seniors. And one of the areas that we have seen also saw an increase in over the pandemic is doing deliveries. Something that we've never done in the past, but we do an average of 10 to 15 deliveries on a weekly basis of people who can't get out, don't have the means to get out, or are afraid to come out. And definitely, Gail, some of them are seniors.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Emily, for joining us. And thank you, Roy, for your input. We'll maybe see if we can't get Christine and Ken another day. Emily, you're more than welcome to stay on if you'd like. We're going to continue on with our meeting. Yeah, so thank you very much for your time. And I point out, as I was getting food ready to send my kids today, because they have dress down day, it's not just Christmas. Like January they need food, February they need food, you know, so we'll maybe try and come up with something to do in the new year. Happy Bucks. So I'm stealing our thunder, Dawn. So I got 5 Happy Bucks. Dawn and I were selling trees last week, and we are to say hello to everybody from Chuck Catron. His daughter came to buy a tree after she had just been to visit him, and he wanted to pass along his greetings to the club. So it's nice to hear. And he's settling well. I think she said he's happier now than when he got in there, but he's doing well. So yeah, he's at Bowmanville Creek. Yeah.
Okay, I got 5 Happy Bucks. The Happy Bucks is because I had a really happy time selling trees with Fred DeVries to the point that we were having a great time singing. Some of you may have heard the singing on Facebook. One thing while I'm up here, I'd like to encourage people to go on Tuesday Talks. Once a month, district has a Tuesday Talks. A lot of diverse subjects. Sometimes it's all about Rotary, sometimes it's not. This coming Tuesday, that's Tuesday the 14th at 7 p.m., Dr. Bob Scott is going to be talking about polio. Try and go on the call, be very informative. I definitely encourage everybody to consider Tuesday Talks. Thank you.
I got 5 happy bucks because I'm happy to be back. It's been a long time.
Oh, go ahead.
I got 5 happy bucks. Christmas trees are moving. They've slowed a little bit, but I'm sure we'll be open all weekend. Then we'll have to wait and see beyond that.
How many we got left, Ted?
I'm not sure. I haven't counted them in the last, but I would say we got about 80, 90 trees.
Well, actually, Steve Page just posted on Facebook that there are 90 trees and one kind of runt tree.
Yeah, they had a count and then they've sold some since then, so.
And that's from almost 600. So we've done really, really well.
Yeah. We sold a whopping 4 yesterday, right, Peter? We spent more time standing the trees back up because the wind kept knocking them over. Yeah. Is there any happy bucks online before we move on? No. All right. Leah, you have a community report for us this morning?
Good morning, everyone. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Good. So with the holidays quickly approaching, just wanted to take a minute and highlight a couple of upcoming community events. First, our Durham Regional Police Services is running their 33rd annual Food and Toy Drive, and it's well underway. The annual drive provides families within Durham Region who are in need with food and toys for the holiday season. So throughout the months of November and December, local businesses, organizations, individuals, they can donate food and toys, which are then picked up by volunteers, sorted and distributed to members of the community. So if interested in donating, donations can be dropped off at any of the DRPS divisions, including our own Clarington station, the regional headquarters, or Clarington Fire Headquarters as well. And I'm sure you've probably seen, if out and about shopping, there's many outdoor Crema Cruiser events, they're called, taking place across the region, where residents can just drop off any unwrapped food or toys. And there will be another Crema Cruiser event taking place here in Bowmanville this coming Saturday at the Loblaws, and that's running from 10 a.m. till 2 p.m. If interested. Another event I just wanted to highlight is Windreach Farms is hosting their first ever Festival of Lights holiday drive-through event. And the event is running from Friday, December 10th through to Tuesday, December 14th. So it's running from 6 to 8 p.m. each evening, and it will offer a safe holiday drive-through experience full of festive stations and lots of lights. It will also include a series of pre-recorded podcast episodes. So you have to download it before you head to the event, and you get to listen as you drive through the farm and learn a little bit more about what they do. And as a reminder, we did have Windreach, I think it was back in July or August, come and speak to the group. And it's a fully accessible working farm located just north of Whitby, around Ashburn, I believe it is, area. And it provides programs for individuals with special needs of all ages. So tickets for this event, you can purchase them online, and I can share the website with Fred when the report goes out, and they're $20 per carload, and all proceeds go back to the farm. End of update.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Leah. And also, I know the Scugog lights are up. I think with December 1st, the Scugog lights went up, and there is a spot there, I think, to donate food as well. So if you are, it's something I didn't think about, and maybe Gail or Roy can, I didn't realize, I guess, not thinking, a lot of times people are donating things like craft dinner, but a lot of people don't have milk. So, is there something that we should be focusing more on than, the traditional, cans of, like, what are things that are most in need?
Well, every food bank has something different, and certainly through Feed the Need, most of our members do access milk because
Right.
we have a provincial partnership. It's with the dairy farmers, and every hub, like Feed the Need, gets milk. The other thing people can do when you're donating money, like you can designate it for the purchase of food only. And people forget that. I mean, certainly food banks need money to run trucks and all of that, but some people are hesitant to donate money because they think that's all it's being used. You want to donate $100 and say, specifically for the purchase of food, you can do that, because what hubs buy is what Emily talked about: vegetables, they buy eggs, they buy milk to supplement the provincial program to make sure that when we give somebody a craft dinner, we give them milk.
Milk too, yeah. And I think too, another thing is hygiene items.
Yes, you can certainly donate hygiene items. That's the one thing that we do really well from industry.
Oh, good, good, good. Okay. All
I
right.
agree. I agree. About 4 years ago now, we had a specific donation from the community. A person wanted to purchase milk for the whole year. So that we started giving milk, which led to butter, which led to eggs. And now well, Feed the Need supplies most of the milk now. But locally, we purchase butter and eggs. And I visit the Lions Club about 4 years ago as well. And one of the questions that was asked is, what do you need most of? Or one lady said, what about women's hygiene products? And then we had a year's supply of hygiene products donated from the Lions Club to our food bank. And we're still getting products come in, but like Feed the Need will supplement the additional hygiene products that we don't get.
Good. All right. Okay, any announcements? I have a couple. Oh, yep, Ellie. I forgot to write you down, so.
Yeah, a number of months ago, we had Catherine from the Sunday Club speak to us about the maternity hospital. And John started off by contacting all presidents in local, not local, but in District 7070. So I've taken it from there, and I reached out to all the club's international directors, and I've heard back from some of them. The ones that have donated are the clubs from York, Toronto, Whitby Sunrise, nothing from Ajax yet. Jake, Northumberland, ourselves. I'm waiting to hear from Picton. I talked to the gentleman about a week ago, and they want to do something, but we don't know yet what. So what we've so far to date, we've raised $8,200 to send to Sunday, and hopefully I can get that off in the next couple of weeks. Just have to get their banking information so we can do a transfer. But some of the clubs have stepped up very nicely, and we thank them. And that's it so far.
Thank you. On behalf of, I know she would thank you even more, but as somebody who's in touch with her, thank you so much.
Yeah, no, I've been in touch with her a few times.
Oh, that's good. Thank you. It's really great to see.
Yeah. Yes, Chris?
Ali, last time you talked about this, you were indicating that progress on the building was kind of slow. Is that?
The building is almost complete. And their list of all the items that they wanted to purchase, medical items. Most of the items on the list, I don't know if anybody really paid attention to it, but most of the items do not require electricity. So it's the small items, blood pressure cuffs, thermometers, bandages, all that sort of thing. It's more or less the supplies that's going to be needed. And there was a couple things that would require hydro, but I have a feeling that area, they don't have a lot of it, and it doesn't stay running very long. So it's pretty primitive in that area, like our standards, needless to say. So, yep, we're doing well, and we'll get money off to them. Yeah. Any other questions? Yep. Oh, okay. Wow.
What your one good life. Again, I'm just going to mention, I know Joe did already, but the concert's this weekend. So, you know, if you haven't bought tickets, if you're able to go, online's an option. Yeah, let's try and fill those seats. There is a board meeting tomorrow night at 7 o'clock. We're going to do it in person at the funeral home. If anybody can't come in person, we can Zoom if needed. But yeah, so that's tomorrow at 7 o'clock. Next week is our morning meeting again, and it's the gentleman from the Niagara Club.
It is. Yeah.
Yeah, so they did a really cool project in Niagara Falls, the Rotary Club there. So we've asked him to come to tell us a bit about it. So that'll be next week at 7 a.m. And then our last meeting for December for 2021 actually is the 23rd, which is our Christmas party at Boston Pizza. So that will be our evening meeting. And then the following week, I think the Monday or the Tuesday is the 28th, but we're not going to have a meeting that one. So we won't meet again until the new year. So I want to thank everybody for coming. This is a great turnout. This is our biggest turnout we've had in person. Yes, John.
I just wondered if our district governor had any words of wisdom for us since he's on the call.
Not to put you on the spot or anything.
Thanks, John. 7:30 in the morning is a little much for words of wisdom, but it was great to see all my Rotary friends in Bowmanville, and thank you for letting me join you. And Joe, great work on Feed the Need. Looking forward to the concert on Sunday, and wish you all the best for a safe and merry holiday season.
Great. Thanks, Ron. And finally, Lisa Tamlin, are you still with us?
I am.
Oh, perfect. You have our quote of the week.
The world as we have created it is a process of our thinking. It cannot be changed without changing our thinking. Albert Einstein.
Very good. Excellent. All right. I think I got through it and didn't forget anything. All right. So if there's nothing else for the good of Rotary, then we will call this meeting adjourned.